So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aliénor Guigou. I'm a first semester resident, actually working in the HEGP hospital in Paris. And as I will have to go a little bit earlier for my plane, let me present you my clinical case now. So it's a 34-year-old young woman coming in emergency for pelvic pain without fever. And my first question is, what are your hypotheses? So you may think to ectopic pregnancy, agnatial twists, appendicitis, salpingitis, diverticulitis, kidney stone colic, and pyelonephritis, and lots of other things. So what first exam will you do? Either ultrasound, beta HCG, CT scan, or CRP? So the answer is beta HCG in order to rule out an ectopic pregnancy. It's the first diagnostic to rule out because it's a real emergency and the patient can die. So beta HCG were negative for patients. Then you do ultrasound, first abdominal view and then endovaginal view. So on the ultrasound you can see nothing about abnormal about the abdomen, but when you look at the pelvis you find at the right side of the uterus this image and also endoperineal effusion, and then transvaginal view. So quite poor quality of this image, which were made by the resident at call, but you can see here the uterus, which is normal sized and with a normal morphology. Then left ovary with effusion sides, and the right ovary has an increased size. So what do you think about this image? So you can see there is an increased size of the right ovary. There is also here we can describe a cystic adnexal mass with some neural components. It is heterogeneous with some echoic shadowing components and spots much more hypoechoic with some septa. And there are also fat and calcification. So that was the description. So do you shift rather towards benign or malignant lesion, or you can say? That was rather benign because you can see here a half-moon safe ovarian parenchyma, which is a very good sign of benignity. So here, as we told this morning, this is the IOTA US rules to shift between benign and malignant lesions. So the day after you do the MRI, and you can see here T2 sagittal plane, and here T2 axial plane, T1 axial plane, and T1 with the fat satin gadolinium. So here you can see you find this heterogeneous lesion. You see fat areas because there is a decreased signal between T1 and T1 fat sats. And there are also liquid parts in high signal in T2 and low signal in T1. And there is almost no enhancements apart finally hypervascular line. And is there anything else to notice? You had to notice that the right ovarian parenchyma is thickened and in high signal in T2 with no contrast enhancements and peripherically displaced follicles with also free pelvic fluid. So what you do evoke, yeah. That was a mature cystic ovarian teratoma complicated with an ovarian torsion. So mature teratomas represent 15% of all neuroplasms. They tend to appear in young women, typically around the age of 30. Typically, they are asymptomatic, often discovered incidentally. However, they do predispose to ovarian torsion, and they may present with acute pelvic pain if there is a torsion. They are typically described as encapsulated tumors with mature tissue or organ components. They are composed of well-differentiated derivations from at least 2 of the 3 germ cell layers, and they contain developmentally mature skin, hair follicles, sweat glands, and other things. We must differentiate them from immature ovarian teratoma. So in immature ovarian teratoma, you can see immature tissue. They have a more malignant behavior, and they may metastasize to, by example, peritoneum, liver, or lung. And they tend to be larger than mature teratoma and with a larger solid component. So mature teratoma can be bilateral, and they are typically smaller than 10 centimeter, and they are very rarely more than 15 centimeter. What about their radiological features? On the pelvic US, you can see a cystic adnexal mass, mostly unilocular with some mural components. You can also see echogenic mass with posterior sand attenuation due to sebaceous material. One typical sign is a mural hyperechoric Rokitansky skin nodule. You can also see fluid levels and multiple thin echogenic bands caused by the hair in the cyst cavity. And in Doppler, no internal vascularity. So this is what we call the tip of the iceberg sign. It refers to the highly echogenic cyst contents of sebum of hair or fat in a Rokitansky skin nodule. What you can see here, the Rokitansky skin nodule with attenuation, the shadowing behind. So it causes posterior attenuation of sound, so you can only see the superficial parts of a cyst, like an iceberg. Rokitansky skin nodule, it refers to a solid protuberance projecting from an ovarian cyst in mature cystic teratoma, so that's what you can see here. It often contains calcific, dental, adipose and hair, or sebaceous components, as here. What about the pelvic MRI? It tends to be reserved for difficult cases. Pelvic MRI is exquisitely sensitive to fat components, so good to diagnose this lesion. And you can also see the enhancement to identify solid invasive components. So what is your plan with this lesion? Do you propose surgical resection, follow-up, leave it alone, or medical treatment? So that depends, but you must know that these lesions have very slow growth, 1 or 2 millimeters a year, so you don't propose systematic surgery. Complications occurs only if it is a very large mass. So if it is larger than 7 centimeters, you propose surgical resection, and if it is under 7 centimeters, you just propose annual follow-up. What are the complications? So we spoke about them this morning. It's ovarian torsion, rupture, malignant transformation, superimpose infection, and very rarely autoimmune hemolytic anemia. What about the differential diagnosis? You must also think to hemorrhagic ovarian cysts, endometrioma, ovarian serous or mucinous cystadenoma or cystadenocarcinoma. Hemorrhagic ovarian cysts, typically on ultrasound, you can see lace-like reticular echoes, thin wall, and circumferential blood flow in the cyst wall. And on MR, high signal T1 and T2 and no enhancement after contrast. Endometrioma, on the US you can see uniform low-level internal echoes with a hypervascular wall on Doppler. On MR you can see high T1 signal without suppression with fat saturation and low signal in T2. Mucinous cystadenoma or carcinoma. So mucinous large cystic adnexal mass multilocular with numerous septation or septation loculations. On US it may contain low-level internal echogenicity because it has an increased mucic content. And on MR the signal is variable. Ovarian serous cystadenoma, it's like the same signs but mostly unilocular, whereas mucinous are multilocular. So to conclude, mature teratoma represents 15% of ovarian tumors. They are often asymptomatic, often discovered incidentally. US is the preferred imaging modality. They are typically seen as cystic adnexal mass with some UL components. And when you see fat and calcifications in a lesion, it's almost pathognomonic of teratoma, but you can't say if it's mature or immature when you see fat and calcifications. And the painful teratoma is very predictive of an ovarian torsion. And that's my references, and thank you for your attention.